Hi, it's Cindy. Now, I've talked to you before about modeling and the importance of setting the expectation for students and then also showing them how to do the thing that you're wanting them to do so that they're not clueless and so that they rise to your expectation. That's important, right? But I also believe in doing the work and doing it alongside students sometimes. For one, it's really fun because why not? Why not get involved and work alongside them? But for two, it helps to show them in the moment what it is that you are looking for. And also shows, oh, wow, my teacher is interested and engaged. This must be really interesting stuff. Hopefully, right? So, our two routines this week, we've got Chalk Talk, and then we've got I used to think, now I think. Both of these are fabulous. I've used both of them numerous times. I used to think, now I think is wonderful for reflection purposes. Like, let's say if you're doing a Socratic seminar with students, and at the outset, they've got all their texts, they've read them, they've done some thinking about what they think, and then they hear all these different points of view. And then at the end, you say, okay, well, now I want you to do this for me. I want you to answer these two sentence stems. Do it. I used to think what? What did you enter this discussion with in terms of what you were thinking? And now I think what? What are you thinking now? What are you walking away with? Or what new learning are you walking away with? So this is a really powerful one. But Chalk Talk. Chalk Talk is something that can be very interactive. Yes, it can be done online. It can also, of course, be done in person. And with this, you're basically putting a lot of things around the room for students to first silently think on. So that's why it's called Chalk Talk. Like back in the day, you used to use, the chalkboards and people go and, write their thinking in the chalk and all that stuff, right? So obviously these days, probably not going to be using chalk, but the title kind of stuck because it rhymes and it's cute. So anyway, please pardon the dog. These are some examples of chalk talks that I have made in the past. So you can see I've got these quotes that all come from this same source. We were learning about engagement. We were really thinking hard about engaging our learners in classrooms. How do we do that? And so I found this text that I thought was really rich. But I don't want teachers in my building to feel like they have to go and read a book on something every single time we're talking about a particular topic. And so I did some reading and pulled out some things and thought, okay, this is a great set of quotes as food for thought. Let's do a chalk talk on this at a staff meeting. And so you'll see I've got all these different quotes. Each one is on its own page, not hard to set up, right? And then let's say if you're doing this with a class and you have a text that you've pulled different quotes from or different segments or whatever, awesome. Or from multiple texts too, you can do it that way. Just make it where you've got one master copy, maybe of, I don't know, if you've got a class of 30, I would recommend having maybe about 32 to 35 things around the room so that each student can visit one and then move and then visit another and then move and so on. But this is where it comes in, where you can do it alongside students. Isn't it fun? And isn't it a great way to also monitor and make sure people are doing the things and all of it? So you take your pen and you walk around and you also demonstrate your thinking. And maybe you've asked students to comment. Maybe you've asked students to paraphrase, or maybe you've asked them to write questions or inferences or whatever it is you've set them up for. You can do that alongside, and it's super fun. So I highly recommend. And here's another one that I did not quite blow up, or maybe I did, but it's somewhere else. But the Constitution. Oh, especially with super challenging text that is dense and hard to read, this is a great way to go. Okay, so consider if it's a text that I want to show to students, then also I can dig in and I can show my confusion and I can show, what is my thinking. Doing it alongside is fabulous. Another tip too is to try out your routine beforehand. And I've mentioned this in other videos. But by going through and doing the work yourself, Jennifer Gonzalez likes to call it dog fooding. By doing the work yourself, one, you're making sure of, do I want to be, if I were a student in my class, would I want to do this thing that I'm being asked to do? Hopefully. If not, you better rewrite it because no one wants to do something that's boring, right? And then another thing is it making sense? Is the way that I set it up making sense? And if I were a student in my class who's maybe a lower level student, what might I need by doing the work? Okay, all right, so maybe these students might need this thing. I'll have that ready just in case. And if I'm a student who tends to do okay, what are a couple of questions or whatever that I might need to write to help spur those students along? And then if I'm a more advanced student and it's okay. I mean, I can do this, but I can do this rather quickly. How might I make it so that it's more engaging for that higher level learner? And what extensions might I provide? Or how might I just make it more challenging for the advanced learner? So, just food for thought. That's about it.